for those of you that have practiced with me, maybe on the Escape or one of the yoga brunches or something like that, you'll know that I'm all about finding the comfort. So hence pillows today. So in finding the comfort, we want to find our breath. We want to make sure that we can breathe nice and easy. Anything that takes that away is just a sign of not today. Anything that doesn't feel right, you can opt out. I can't see you all individually. So at any point, if you want to just relax for a minute, take a little break, come back into it later, you're very welcome to do that. So we're actually going to start laying on the floor on your back and just have one pillow either side of you. So the soles of your feet are going to come together and you're laying back, and then you're going to place your thighs onto the pillows. So you can have a little play with this. So if you find that you want more support, you can roll the pillow up so your knee is a little bit higher in the air. If you feel like you want your knee a little bit closer to the floor, you can flatten the pillow out or even take it further away. So this is really adjustable, just to allow you to settle onto the floor. The focus for today is the hips. So we're just going to close the eyes here and start to, maybe make a little sigh, make the exhale a little bit louder, maybe even do a little yawn. And take this moment just to give some permission to your body to settle. If this isn't feeling nice on your hips for any reason, just re-bring your knees back up. So everything that I say is just an offering. If it feels better to have your knees pointing up towards the ceiling or resting on each other, you can do that. You can take your hands and place them on your stomach, which is quite nice, especially if they're resting on the lower part of your stomach. And just starting to tune into the rise and fall of your breath. So notice what happens when you breathe in. Notice the movement of your hands as you breathe out. So before launching into a yoga practice, we want to calm down the breath so we can calm down the adrenaline in our systems. And that allows us to tune in to what our body needs today. So it allows us to listen to our body, listen to any little aches, any little quirks, to really allow for a tuning in. And that can take a few moments, which is why we want to find a little comfort. Let our heads rest a little bit more into the floor, let the shoulders relax, the spine feel the support of the ground, the hips feel the security of the floor and of the support of the pillows. Once we're physically settled, we've given permission to our body and also sort of made a negotiation with it, an agreement, a pact that throughout the practice today we're going to keep listening. And if our body ever wants to do something different, we're going to listen to that. We're going to focus in on the breath a little bit more. And we're going to do an exercise called square breathing. And it really isn't about doing it perfectly. It's just exploring what this square breath might feel like for you today. So to begin, we're just going to let all the air out of our mouth. We're counting in for a count of 4. 2, 3, 4. Holding, pausing. 2, 3, 4. And then exhaling. 2, 3, 4. Pause again. 2, 3, 4. And then inhaling. 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 2, 3, 4. And then just doing that a couple of times on your own. And again, if it's a fast 4 or a slow 4, that's okay. If the pause is a little longer, a little slower, that's okay. Just focusing to see what your breath feels like, what it likes, what it enjoys. And it's this process of tuning in that allows for the practice to come. Coming to the end of the square that you're on. And then when it feels good, slowly draw your knees up towards each other. And now we're going to take feet hip-width distance apart. And you can move a little from side to side. And you can, depending on what you have around you, move your pillows out of the way. And I'm just going to check to see you can see my arms here. Yeah. So now the heels are fairly close to the hips. The knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. The feet are pointing towards the bottom edge of your mat. Your arms are by your sides, and as you inhale, lift your arms up and over your head in the direction of the floor. They don't need to meet the floor. And then as you exhale, lifting your arms up towards the ceiling and maybe bringing them down by your sides. So inhale, floating your arms up, and you might keep them here, or you might explore going up and over your head. Exhaling, bringing them up, and seeing if you can get to the end of your exhale when your hands come down. So inhaling, coming up. See if you can get to the top of your inhale when your fingers get to the top of their expression, where your arms feel good. And then exhale, bringing the arms down at the same time. And then rest your arms down by your side. This time, we're going to press down through the feet and lift the hips up towards the ceiling. And then slowly come down and just see how that felt. So it's a nice slow movement here. So inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling and coming down. And then just see if you can tune that movement into your breath. So inhaling as you come up, and when you get to the top of where this feels good, you get to the top of your breath, and then slowly coming down and seeing if your hips can come down to the mat at the same time you get to the end of your exhale. Last one of these, inhale, coming up. And exhale, coming down. This time we're going to do both movements together. So press down into the feet, start to lift the hips and the hands, and just come to wherever feels good for you today. And then gently floating your hands and your hips at the end of your exhale down at the same time. So inhale, feel your stomach expand with air, your chest expand with air. Everything's expanding, and then exhaling, coming down. Last one of these, inhale, floating up, arms up, press down into your feet, lifting your hips up, and then exhale, coming down. For this one, we're only going to lift the left arm up. And we're going to turn the head, the nose, the opposite direction. So So as you inhale, press down through your feet, left arm comes up and turn to face the right. And then slowly come down and your hand comes down. Then we're going to go to the right side, lifting up and turn your nose to the left. So just a little stretch through the neck here. Inhale up to the center and then exhaling, come on down. One more of these, inhale coming up, turning, and then exhale, coming down, arm down. Last one. Press down into the feet, lifting, turning the head, and then gently coming down through center. Reach for your knees, bring your knees up towards your hands. You can do a little side to side here. Take your hands onto your knees and gently roll them in a circle, one direction and then the other direction. Place your feet down on the floor and then have a reach for your pillows. So you can use one or two pillows here. You can start with one and then just see how it feels. Press down into your feet, lift up your hips, and then put a pillow under the lower part of your back here. And then come down. Should feel really nice. If it doesn't feel nice, then do a little squish and find a spot that you feel like your hips can totally relax into. If you're going for a second pillow, lifting up, finding a little bit of a higher base. Sometimes pillows get away from you, so yeah, you can come up onto your toes to find that base, and then let yourself settle onto the pillows. It should feel nice. We're in an inversion here, so the heart is higher than the head. This is really nice to calm our systems down and start to bring down adrenaline and bring down cortisol. And then if you like, you can stretch one leg down along the mat and maybe the other one. Maybe not. Maybe when you stretch your legs down, you feel like the pillows aren't in quite the right direction or placement. So you can always reshuffle a little bit and then find it, or stay with your knees bent. So even this process of tuning in, of finding out, which one feels the best for me today, that's part of the practice. It's not all about the position that your body is in, but it's about feeling your way into your body, feeling what it likes, what it doesn't. In this position, we're opening through the abdomen, the slight back bend that's nice and supported, and also opening through the front of the thighs, the front of the hips. If you want, there is an option to bring your arms up and over your head. If that doesn't feel good for any reason whatsoever, just let your arms be by your sides. So you can explore, you can come back. Letting your hips get heavy, imagining your face softening, your eyebrows softening. And noticing how your breath is now, if it's any different to when you first lay down. And then take a nice, big, expansive breath here. And exhale it out of your mouth. Noticing if you felt any different on that exhale, then take one more big breath in. And then let every drop of that breath out. Slowly rebending your knees if they were outstretched. And maybe coming up onto your toes to lift your hips up, to gently slide your pillows out And then take your time to lower down onto the ground. When your hips are down, you can take your feet a little wider than your hips and just softly move your knees a little from side to side, as if there was just a super gentle breeze, causing your knees to just softly move here. And then bring your knees in towards your chest. Do a little side to side. And then rolling onto your side here. It can be on either side, whichever side feels good. And just take a moment on your side. And allow yourself just to settle. And then slowly come on up to seated. So for the seated thing, it's quite nice to sit on one or two pillows. So just see what feels good for you. And then if it feels good to come into a cross-legged position, you can do that. If it feels good to sit like this, that's also an option. And then finding a little length in your spine. It's quite nice to have the pillows underneath the hips here for that little bit of elevation. And especially if you feel there's any roundness in your back, that's usually a sign that like some pillows would give it a bit more comfort. So feeling the length in your spine, you can close your eyes here. With every inhale, imagining your spine getting longer. So imagining the vertebrae on a little social distance from one another. So with every inhale, they're wiggling slightly away from each other just to get a little bit more length. And feeling that on the back of the neck. You're creating length, and as the back of your neck lengthens, you can gently just bring your chin down. It's a very small movement, like 1/2 centimeter, just to get that length going up the back of the neck. And then softly take your left hand down to the floor. And if it feels good to come to here, then stay in this position, because really what we're doing here is we're opening up through the hips. So already there is lengthening going on in this side of the body. If you feel like you'd like to go a little bit further, keep rooting down through that hip and maybe bring your arm up. Maybe bring your hand into the center of your heart and feel it slightly turn forward. Shoulder blades melt back and then extend again. And then if you'd like, you can take that arm and start to bring it on a diagonal. So really rooting down through that hip. You maybe move your arms away, the lower arm away, to give you a bit more space. And this is where that lengthening in the spine makes a difference. So it doesn't matter which option that you're in. If you're here, you're finding that length in the spine. If you're here, you're finding that length. At each inhale, you're getting a little bit taller. And exhale, you can exhale out of your mouth. On an inhale, come back up through center, and then find your way over to the other side. So again, you can really take your time with where you like your hand to be. I quite like taking the hand to the heart first, and then maybe extending it, maybe not. One side is often different to the other. We all have such variation, so it's really allowing space for that variation and celebrating our uniqueness. So I used to have a yoga teacher that used to say, this is your yoga. And it was really a permission to make it absolutely yours. So it's not about what it looks like on the outside. It might be here. It might be here. It's just about how it feels on the inside. So taking a last deep breath in. Exhale it out of your mouth. On an inhale, come up through center. And exhale out. And then do a nice little shoulder roll here. Yeah, and you can really get the elbows involved if you like, quite like a nice big dramatic shoulder roll. And then switch the cross of your legs to the other side, the weird side. It always feels a bit odd. If your legs are out in front, just keeping them there with your knees bent and finding that length on this side. And then this time, taking your hand over, but instead of opening up this way, we're actually going to take the center of your chest and start to bring it towards the lower arm. And then outstretch your arm. So the stretch is going across the back here. So just seeing how this feels, keep rooting down through that left hip. As you inhale, again, getting long in your spine. And then exhale it out of your mouth. Inhale, rising up. Exhale over to the other side. So placing that hand down. Bring your hand to the center of the chest and then start to look towards that lower arm. Then extending the arm here if that feels good. Big breath in. And a big breath out. Softly on an inhale, coming up. And exhaling here. And then you can bring your legs out. I'm going to turn to the side of this one. Bring your legs out in front of you. And you can be sitting on one or two pillows. And then bending your right knee in towards you. You're going to take your left hand and wrap it around your right knee. And then this is where that lengthening through the spine really comes in. So lengthening up. And then maybe opening up to take that hand somewhere behind you. It's quite nice to have your fingers outstretched or even holding on to your pillow, especially if your pillow extends out a little bit further. So keeping your chin over the center of your chest. Most of the time when we turn with our head. So we really want to turn with the center of the chest here. Inhale, getting long. Exhale, let it go out of your mouth. And then gently wrap your hand around. So the right hand is wrapping around. And this time, the left hand can go back behind just for a little counter pose here. On your next inhale, come back through center. And then extend your leg down. And we're going to do a little gentle forward fold here. So it might be that your knees want to be bent here, and you can always take a pillow and put it underneath your knees. You can, if your legs are outstretched, you can elevate your hips up high. You can take away the pillows if you like. So everyone's really different when it comes to hamstrings. So the most comfortable forward fold that feels good for you today, and then allow for a little bit of support. So allow your hands to rest, your head to get heavy, and your shoulders to round here. And it doesn't matter how far forward you are. It might be that you're here, but you're feeling it on the back of your thighs. That's perfect. And then for others of us, you might not feel anything until you go a little bit further. So it's just tuning into what you feel, what feels nice, what feels nourishing today. Let your head get heavy wherever you are. Take a nice deep breath. Maybe filling your back with breath. Let it out of your mouth. And then softly coming up and bending your left knee. So we're going to start by so I'm coming to the opposite side, so it's going to look like I'm turning away from you here. So we're going to wrap your right arm around your left knee. The left arm comes up and maybe back behind. I'm gonna turn it around this way so you can see. So finding that length, turning your chin to be on the center of your chest. Big breath in and big breath out. And then softly on an inhale, wrapping your arm back around and coming to the other side. So now your other arm, your right arm is back behind you. And you're just gently turning to the other side. And then come back on an inhale and bring the soles of your feet together. For this, we want to create like a diamond shape. So your heels aren't super close to your hips. There's quite a nice bit of space there. And this is really getting into the hips. So you can be sitting on a pillow here. You can have the pillows in front of you for a little snuggle. I quite like, and depending, you might have longer pillows. I quite like giving it a little hug, maybe letting my chin rest in and letting my head rest here. So there's a few different options. Sometimes it can feel better to have a pillow underneath and then just a soft lean and use your arms for support here. So this is quite an introspective pose. And it's one that we can often feel what's going on in the hips. So the hips, whether we're doing a lot or doing a little, tend to get very involved. So if we're sitting, our glutes can get quite tight, our hamstrings, our quads, and if we're doing a lot and being super productive, they can as well. So taking a nice big breath in and then out, and then softly, softly coming up, making your way into a table position. So what's nice about having a pillow is you can take the pillow and place it underneath your knees here. Especially, it depends what kind of floor you're on and what kind of mat you might have. But some like hard surfaces, it's really nice to just have a little extra cushion. If your pillow's too high and it feels unstable, then don't use it there. So take your time just to find your way into a table position. Hands are under shoulders, knees are under hips. And then slowly as you inhale, lower your stomach and start to lift your chin. As you exhale, round through your back. Chin comes down towards your chest. And doing 2 more of these, just following your own breath here. And seeing if you can tune in to how your spine is feeling. What bits it likes, what bits it doesn't. And when you finish the one that you're on, gently come back to the table position. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And then if it feels good, take your right foot and bring it roughly where your right hand is. So in this position, we're accessing both the front thigh and the back of the thigh, so the quads and the hamstrings. And it might be that you stay here and just gently let your hips come forward. Just have a look and just make sure that your knee isn't further than your ankle. If it is, just scoot your foot forward a little bit more. And then if that's feeling good, find that length in your spine. And sometimes as you're coming into this, it might be nice to move out slightly and move in. So we're working our way into the hips today. So doing a very slow back and forth, very slow exploration. and then coming in here. And this is an option if you'd like. You can keep your left hand down on the ground, take your right hand to the center of your heart. I'm going to turn the other way so that you can see. The right hand to the center of your heart. I've got the wrong foot forward. There we go. And if it feels good, start to open towards the right side. And then maybe lift your elbow and then maybe extend the arm. But just see how it feels. And if you want, if it feels nourishing and delicious and you want to do a circle, you can. If that doesn't seem appealing, you can stay here, or at any point you can come out. But just see, and if you come out, just so you can come to a comfortable seat. How it feels for you and how your hips are. So hips like to be moved into sort of unusual positions in order to get the blood flow moving in and enticing those tight muscles into lengthening by basically feeding them with the blood flow, with the nutrients. And then softly coming out. And then bringing the toes together, knees a little bit wider, we're moving into a child's pose. And one of my favorite ways to do a child's pose is with pillows. So you can take 1 or 2 pillows, place them underneath your stomach, and then just gently rest over the pillows. Maybe your head comes to the floor, or maybe you take the pillows out a little bit more, and you rest onto the pillows the whole way. And if you prefer to do it without pillows, that's totally fine too. And you can reshuffle and put a little movement in and find the pose that feels the best for you. And then taking a nice deep breath in here. And exhale it out of your mouth. And then softly walk your hands back. And then we're going to come to the lunge position on the other side. So, we're going to gently take the left foot forward. So I'm going to put that back underneath my knees. And you can come to it from table, and then gently bring left foot forward. And when you come to the other side, it might be totally different. So again, just having a little move and just checking that the knee is roughly over the ankle. You can move a little back and forth as long as you're going nice and slowly and moving with your breath. Really feeling it out. And then this is when I do the weird shuffle to the other side. You stay where you are so I can show you the twist variant. You can take your right hand down to the floor and maybe take your left hand up to your heart. Let your hips sink forward. And then maybe extending. Maybe finding your circles here. So these are just options to explore. Circles nice and slow. You might inhale on the way up and then exhale on the way back. And when you finish the circle that you're on, coming back with your hands framing your front foot, lift your hips, and then gently coming back into a table position, tucking your toes, and then if it feels good for you today, lifting your hips up towards the ceiling and coming into a down dog. So in a down dog, if you like, you can take your feet a little bit wider and your hands a little bit wider. And then you can bend one knee and then the other. You can move your shoulders a little from side to side. And if this doesn't feel nice today, you can come back down to table and just move your shoulders and your hips a little from side to side in table. And then start to walk your hands back towards your feet. Let your head get really heavy here. So you're coming into a forward fold and allowing the top half of your body to get heavy. And in that forward fold, either having your hands on the floor or having your hands on your shins or on your thighs, somewhere that gives a bit of support so the top half of your body can sort of surrender and do a little less. And then softly rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae until you softly come up to standing. So this is where I'm going to do a quick switch of the height of the computer. Almost. Okay, there we go. So once you've come up to standing, just inhale, taking the arms as wide as feels good. Maybe having a look up towards the sky, and then exhale, hands come down, heart center. Inhale, coming out. Exhale, hands come down. You can close your eyes for this last one. Inhale, swooping wide. Exhale, hands come down. And then you can turn so you're facing lengthways on your mat, so you've got face in front of you. And then turn your left foot slightly out to the side. So it's like on a 45-degree angle. And then you're going to take a really big step with the right foot. Your hips are going to stay on this slight angle here as you then start to bend into that front knee. So your hips are, let's see, so instead of being perfectly sideways on, they're going to turn slightly, at an angle. And then your knee is pointing towards your little toe, so there's an outward rotation of that front thigh here. Now, if that's feeling good, stay here. Otherwise, you can extend your arms out for a warrior pose. So this is where you feel really badass. This is where you look out over your front fingers and you feel fierce as fuck. So this is, you're tuned in, you're feeling your body, you've ventured into it. And if that feels nice, take your hand to the back of your thigh, reverse your hand, lengthen through your spine here. Lovely. Maybe bend your knee a little bit more, maybe not. Just see how it feels. And then gently come back. Then turn your front toes towards the left. And then point both of your feet towards the left and start to heel toe your feet in towards each other until you come up. You can move your hips a little from side to side here, do a little wiggle. And then we're going to come to the other side, so I'm going to stand over here. So this time the right foot is slightly out on an angle. You're going to lift, take a big step. And then once you've taken a big step, you can maybe creep your foot a little bit further forward. Seeing how that feels. And we've got almost like how in the beginning when our hips were, when our knees were out, that knee wants to, the thigh wants to roll over towards the little toe. And then gently taking your arms out. Look out over those front fingers. Relax the shoulders and then smile it out. Yeah. So this is warrior position. Take a nice deep breath in here. And then exhale it out. Take the back hand to the back of your thigh. And then maybe lengthening up towards the ceiling. Just see how that feels. Maybe it feels good today, maybe not. And then gently coming back. And then straightening that front leg. Once again, turning your toes back towards front, and then heel toe your feet back up towards each other. Yeah. Inhale, take your arms wide, lifting them up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, this time taking them down into cactus arms, and then down. Lovely. So turning to face the longer part of your mat, inhale, coming up, and then exhale. You've got two options here. You can either bend your knees and flow with your hands together into a forward fold, or you can take your hands down to your thighs and walk your hands down into your forward fold. So here we're getting into the hamstrings, letting the head and the neck soften, shoulders soften, face soften. Then take your hands to your thighs and just see how it feels to lengthen the spine here. So again, each vertebrae wants a little bit of length from one another. There you go. And then gently coming down. And walk your hands forward and coming back down onto the floor. So I'm going to move this down. So, time to get the pillows. So we've got two options. We're now going to get into the glutes. So we've sort of rotated the hips out. We've worked on the front and on the back of the thighs. And now we want to get into the glutes. So there's two different options for this. So one option is to lie on your back and have your cushions. And then take your right foot and place it on your left thigh and let your knee come out towards the side. And you might feel it in your hips in this position, or you might want to clasp behind your thigh or in front of your shin. So all of these options are lovely. Quite like it on with my feet on the pillows. And it's different things on different days. You can have a little bit of a move from side to side. If you are familiar with pigeon pose, or you feel like you'd like a little bit more intensity in your hips, you can come into table, slide your right knee towards your right wrist, sink your hips back, and then take a pillow and place it underneath that hip. I'll show you on the other side. And maybe take a pillow and lay it in front of you and come down this way. So what that looks like with the pillow underneath. So the pillow goes underneath the hip there, so you've got some support, and then gently coming down. It's quite nice to have a pillow to cuddle in this position. So whichever option, they both get into the glutes, and you can Let yourself get a little heavier, sink a little deeper into it. Unless there is an increase of intensity. And if the intensity is increasing, then just come out of it and either come to a comfortable seat or lie down, or make it just a little bit easier on yourself. And when you make things easier on your body, you can actually go further. So sometimes when we strain, the muscles actually get tighter because they think something's wrong. So sometimes when we take an option that feels like we're doing a little bit less, but actually the deeper layers of the body, the deeper muscles are like, oh, well, this is okay. And sometimes we can get a greater release from doing less. So giving yourself permission to be where you are with whatever choice you made today. And then taking a nice deep breath in and letting it out of your mouth. And whichever pose you're in, just coming out really slowly. So if you're on your back, just gently uncrossing. You can do a little movement of your knees from side to side. If you are in a pigeon pose, if you're here, just very, very slowly come back up through table. If you're laying on your back, you can move your knees from side to side. And if you're in table, you can softly move your hips from side to side here. So there's just a moment of resetting and then gently coming to the other side. So if you're doing this version, gently bringing your left knee forward. And if you're doing the version on your back, just switching sides. And sometimes when we come to the other side, it feels vastly different. Sometimes when we come to the other side, it can even release sometimes quicker because it kind of knows what's coming. So it knows what happened on the first side. And sometimes we know when we come to the second side what our body needs, where it wants the pillows. So allowing that settling into this side. And this is really where that agreement, that pact with your body to only do what feels good comes in. And sometimes that can mean even coming out of something a little bit early. It's your time. This is your yoga. These are your hips. One of my favorite quotes was from it was like a world-class geographer, traveler. He'd literally gone to every country in the world and he was being interviewed for a magazine. And they said, well, where's next? Like, what haven't you seen? What haven't you done? And he said, well, I do have a project and it's going to take me at least 2 years. And, you know, they were almost salivating, like, what's he going to say? And he said, yeah, I'm going to take the next 2 years to study my inner geography, my body, my hills and landscapes. And it was just such a beautiful picture this time of exploration. We don't need to know all the names of the muscles, but just noting how they feel, how they want to be treated, what they like, what they don't like. The adventure of the obstacles and the places where there's flow and ease. And gently taking a last big breath in here. And then slowly letting it out of your mouth. And gently uncrossing. And if you're on your front, start to make your way onto your back. So just taking this time just to come back to laying down on your back and have your pillows near you. You can take one to either side. And then let your soles of your feet come together. If that felt good at the beginning, if it feels good now. And then take a cushion to each side. See what your legs feel like today. At the end, if they want a bit more support or a little bit less, if you want your cushion really close to your hips or further away. And place your hands onto your stomach. Feeling the rise and the fall of your breath. And just feeling if anything feels a little bit different. Your connection to the ground feels a little changed, if anything feels flatter. If your breath feels a little smoother, a little easier. And at the end of yoga, we spend this time in relaxation. So you can stay in this position if it feels really nice, or bring your knees up towards one another and maybe take the pillows and place them behind your thighs and then extend your legs over the pillows. And your palms can be face up. So even in this last position, you've got a choice. You want your knees out, you want to extend your legs down. And because in this position, we're looking to find a little softness, a little stillness, to seal in the practice, giving time for the muscles to retain the memory of the movements, giving time for the blood flow to prioritize those areas that were a little tighter and felt a little bit more restricted. So it has time now to prioritize those little repairs in the tighter places. So far from doing nothing, this time can be super productive for the body. And staying where you are, letting your body get heavy. I have a couple of sounds here, and you can tune in to listen to them or listen to your breath, just see how it feels. And softly putting a little wiggle in your fingers and your toes. You can make a little circle with your wrists, with your ankles. If you like, you can stretch up overhead and take a sigh or yawn or anything that you feel like here. If you want, you can point your toes and stretch a little bit more. And then gently bring your knees into your chest. Maybe take your arms around for a nice little cuddle of your knees. And then when it feels good, just rolling onto your side. Take a moment on your side and then finding your way up to a comfortable seat. You can sit on the cushion if you like. And then taking your hands and bringing them to your heart center. So feeling your thumbs against your chest, the heat of your hands against one another. And so feeling that connection. And that's what we've been sort of doing today, a bit of an exploration into the hips, but really a connection with our body today, as it is today. We're feeling almost like an infinity circle from your hands to your chest, around to your elbows. That energy can move around continuously and then just bowing in your head into that connection. Take a last big breath in and then just letting it go, opening your eyes. And that's the gentle practice today with pillows.